The modern collectible toy market is valued to be in the billions of dollars, in a landscape that is teeming with everything from retro reissues to AFA gold-rated classics. Even the most casual toy enthusiast can't help but wonder about the value of some of their forgotten treasures. But before it's time to spend a Saturday in the basement rummaging through countless unlabeled boxes and braving the occasional spider bite, let's take a trip back in time as we shine a spotlight on some of the best in retro toys and ask, do you still have yours?
What is that thing?
It's one of our little toys.
1977 marked the premiere of Happy Days on the small screen and Saturday Night Fever in theaters. But 1950s nostalgia
We're gonna make our dreams come true. Do it our way.
and disco fever weren't the only cultural phenomenons taking the world by storm that year, as on May 25, 1977, Star Wars debuted. Kenner held the license to produce toys for the film, and the massive success of the movie left them in a scramble to fill toy shelves. And so they went to work, manufacturing anything that could be made quickly, such as puzzles and coloring books. But the actual toy figure line was still a ways off from being able to make the Christmas 1977 deadline. So Kenner devised what could perhaps be seen as the earliest toy pre-order ever,
And no questions asked.
and released the early bird certificate package for the holiday season. It came with no actual figures, but instead it had stickers, a club membership card, the cardboard backdrop, and a certificate that could be mailed in with the promise that, sometime in 1978, the initial 4 figures would be received.
What?
That initial run of figures, which included Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Chewbacca, and R2-D2, was eventually shipped in February 1978.
This will be a day long remembered.
Originally, the early bird certificate package went for $7.99 at retail, but in today's market, the card itself has recently been going for an average price of approximately $660, and a set of the initial run of figures fetched $5,200 at the end of 2023.
That's impossible!
But while Kenner had worked to support a major IP with their toy line, in 1982 Mattel was looking to launch their own. In the same year that Joe Montana won his first Super Bowl, and here in Milwaukee, the Brewers were American League champs, the company known for Barbie decided to take their toys in a decidedly more manly direction with Masters of the Universe, which featured He-Man, a guy so unquestionably badass that he can pull off the Prince Valiant haircut without the slightest trace of irony. Having drawn inspiration from Frank Frazetta barbarian-style art and the sword and sorcery films of the time, the toy line's backstory was initially supported by mini-comics, and the lore of the Warriors from Eternia was solidified in the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon by Filmation. With a more lighthearted, kid-friendly tone, each adventure would be accompanied by a moral lesson.
But trees are living things. And when you respect a tree, you show that you care about all life. Life is a wonderful, precious gift. Learn to enjoy and respect it, and you'll be a happier, better person for it.
As He-Man and his allies would square off against Skeletor and his gang of minions at Castle Grayskull.
I could write a book about what you don't know.
Which just so happened to be the perfect sized playset for the forces of good and evil to have epic battles and also be stored away in an easily convenient manner. Drawing from the comic, the original Castle Grayskull drawbridge could be opened with the completed power sword, each half of which was found in with the He-Man and Skeletor figures, each sold separately, of course. The original Castle Grayskull had retailed for $24.99, but now on average it has increased by nearly 10 times that amongst collectors, demonstrating that still today, the playset continues to have the power. Sorry, I couldn't resist, I just had to do one. In 1984, Jeopardy made its television debut. Lionel Richie said, "Hello."
Hello.
And satanic panic swept across the land.
Possibly satanic messages on some rock music recordings.
But the Prince of Darkness wasn't the only character in red taking the world by storm, as that year saw Hasbro working with Japanese company Takara Toys to bring over their Diaclone and Microchange toy lines to the Western market. These toys could be changed from contemporary objects in modern-day vehicles, such as a Freightliner cab-over-engine truck, into robots. And to tie these figures together, Hasbro turned to Marvel Comics to craft a backstory for them.
Transformers.
In these stories, one of these toys, the Diaclone Battle Convoy, would go on to become Optimus Prime, the largest, wisest, and strongest of the Autobots. The Autobots faced off against the Decepticons led by the evil Megatron.
Autobots, transform and roll out!
Their battle would be waged from the comic to the cartoon and then to the big screen where, well, this toy that kids love playing with got killed. But after inflicting some childhood trauma, he was brought back into the cartoon and the toy line, where he continues to live today. And the original Optimus Prime, that went for $23.99 in 1984, is thriving too, as on average that figure is going for over $400 today. Joe Montana recorded yet another Super Bowl win in 1985. That same year, MacGyver hit the airwaves. And at the movie theaters, both Rambo and Rocky returned. But perhaps the most thrilling, action-packed event of 1985 was the premiere of WrestleMania, featuring the likes of Andre the Giant, Big John Studd, and a main event between Hulk Hogan and Mr. T versus Mr. Wonderful and Rowdy Roddy Piper.
This is the man who is going to lose to the Macho Man Randy Savage.
I'm aware of how destiny is gonna take its course, brother.
That year, toy company LJN released their Sling Em Wrestling Ring, which helped to bring the action home.
It's corner-to-corner excitement. Match your moves against the other guy. Have your own WrestleMania with all your favorite figures.
The ring was designed for LJN's wrestling superstar figures. This toy line was bolstered by the endorsement of the actual WWF superstars, including Hulk Hogan and Jake the Snake taking part in a wrestling match at the 1985 Toy Fair. With the popularity of the WWF and the premiere of the cartoon, Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling that year, everything seemed bright for LJN's toy line. However, some poor decisions by LJN, which included the introduction of the very realistic Entertech toy gun line, would go on to eventually spell doom for LJN, which, after being acquired by Acclaim, was closed in 1994. And as for the Sling Em Wrestling Ring, it too would have an unfortunate end to its story, as in 1991, the playset was recalled by the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission due to its rigid plastic corner posts causing serious internal injuries in children that fell on the wrestling ring. The wrestling ring playset, which originally retailed for up to $20, has gone up remarkably in value, as, at the time of this recording, an unopened one currently on eBay has the heavyweight price tag of $900. And as the 80s gave way to the 90s, Joe Montana racked up a fourth Super Bowl win, Seinfeld hit the airwaves, and Vanilla Ice had a massive hit on his hands.
Go ninja, go ninja, go! Go ninja, go ninja, go!
No, not that one. Not quite yet. But 1990 did see the release of the first live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Having drawn their fair share of influence from Daredevil, creators Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird had released the first Turtles comic back in 1984. This was followed up by the cartoon series, which premiered in 1987, and the Playmates toy line, which debuted in 1988. Playmates' success with the Turtles line continued in 1990 with the release of the Technodrome playset. With its round body and eye on top, the Technodrome served as the base for Krang and Shredder. The toy playset opened up to reveal the inside of the base, which contained multiple compartments, including a jail cell, for the Turtles and the Foot Clan to do battle. The playset, which originally retailed for $29.99, is a highly sought-after collectible over 30 years after its release, just going to show Turtle Power is alive and well, with a 1990 Technodrome in new condition going for approximately $10,000 online.
Heroes in a half shell, Turtle Power.
It may be difficult to look back at these toys and to see how much they have appreciated in value and not wish that maybe you left yours in the box, or at least saved up and gotten yourself a spare. And looking at today's market of incredibly detailed, highly articulated figures, you can't help but wonder if in 40 years' time which of them will go up exponentially in value. Who's to say? Perhaps the collectible toy market has become so specialized that history won't repeat itself. And while trying to speculate on what pop culture crazes will go on to be collectible gold can be a dangerous game.
I think a lot of people see them and see dollar signs.
But a financial analysis might be missing the point entirely.
There are times when everybody dreams of becoming very rich or powerful. But what they don't think about are the problems and responsibilities that go with it. In today's story, He-Man was tested, and he proved his worth when he was able to resist the temptation to use his great power for any selfish gain.
The real value that these toys have is that which we assign to them in our memories. They're a link to the past, a connection to a simpler time when you could escape from a bad day at school or trouble at home to go hang out with your favorite heroes in a place where your imagination rules and the good guys always win. But even if the toys themselves got lost along the way, the connection to them doesn't have to be. After all, it doesn't cost a thing to dust them off in your memory and know that Optimus Prime and He-Man, they're still out there.
It's just you and me now.
Together we defend Castle Grayskull from the evil forces of Skeletor.
And they'll be waiting for you the next time that you need them.